We just talk like, there's not a show like that today. Like,
no, nothing can make your career now.
Legion of Skanks is not like, they're not as big as Opie and Anthony. No. I don't know why would you even compare?
Like if you look at the top podcast and iTunes.
Yeah, just test the mic. Yeah.
Testing
worry.
1, 2, 3.
No, talking. You could,
Oh, like the podcast, the top podcast.
Yeah,
Legion of Skanks isn't up there.
I don't.
There's so many podcasts.
Well, there's so many.
But like when the ones that I see up there are
Joe Rogan,
Adam Carolla, and those two girls.
Who those two?
No,
girls.
Who?
No, guys.
The guys we fucked.
Yeah.
She
podcast on the left.
Corinne Fisher does Creek a lot. No. I used to see her there.
Does she even do comedy anymore?
I haven't seen her in years.
Was she dating James Myers?
She
at
still
one
is.
point? Oh, she still is.
No, they broke up.
Oh, okay.
All right. Let me hear it back.
I don't know.
Anticipated.
Yeah. There's 10 guys at the Creek of the Cave right now just listening to this.
What are they talking about, right?
This is fucking great. It's like the fallout happens, and like we're in this fucking basement.
Yeah,
it's like we're radioing out into the world.
Yeah, this is it.
Is anybody alive out there?
Yeah,
I like how we have half of Gumbo and fucking Dumbo here.
We have Conrad Roth and Frank Terranova. That's an amazing twosome. Like, you guys just cause havoc in that fucking basement at the Creek.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I hear. I don't know.
It's funny. I don't pay attention to a lot of stuff. I mean, I suppose I can see it that way.
I talk about you guys like at different mics, and people are afraid to approach the two of you.
That's good. It should be that way.
When you're standing next to each other.
That's true.
People always make references to Conrad and me at the same time, like Veronica, Ego's girlfriend. She goes, "Oh, the both of you are here."
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh no, we can't both be at the same place."
And like, you would think out of anyone who would be like, who would have like anxiety to approach you would be a guy like Mateo, and somehow he doesn't have a problem.
You know
with
what's
that.
funny about that place is that there's literally one fucking corner of New York City that I've carved out for myself. Like there's not one comfortable place to go, not one club anymore that's like fun to hang out at, or not one mic. And so I found this one little corner, and Frank's there fucking too.
And know what's funny is that you two make it uncomfortable for other people. That's even funnier.
And I'm thinking I should make it more uncomfortable. I thought that
sometimes people like say shit when it ain't even happen. Like Jack Comstock comes down, he's doing that storytelling mic. He goes, and the all female mic is happening. And he and Conrad are outside the room of the all female mic talking. So Jack's like, "What are you guys doing down here? Making everybody uncomfortable?" I'm like, "No, we're just having a conversation. We can't be near the female mic. We can't be in proximity of it. Well, law."
I have a story with that. Before, after I got borderline banned from the Tuesday night at the Alligator Lounge, I would just stand outside in front of a bus stop until college would start.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Great. No, we were talking on the way over here.
Give the fucking mic back.
I need to be fucking meaner. Like I my whole goal in life is to avoid inconveniences. Like I don't like to have stupid fucking conversations with people, right? But then there's so many people out there, and they just take their stupid conversations out into the world or wherever. So you gotta be fucking meaner. Be like, you gotta shut the fuck up.
Conrad has been doing something that I don't know if it's safe. He's been having iced coffee before he comes out at night.
Oh, really?
Oh, dude, I get all fucking jacked up.
He came in the other night and started arguing economics with Mike Guild.
Oh, yeah.
That's hilarious.
A guy with no fucking college degree is talking about how socialism is good. Motherfucker, you know nothing about numbers.
I started that whole thing. I was like, I don't think socialism ever worked. And they want to tax middle-class people, and I don't think that's right. And Michael was saying, he supports it. I said, well, I don't want, if I'm working to pay off my mortgage and I have a kid and I'm putting him in private school, I don't want to give money to some Dominican guy playing dominoes.
Yeah.
That is not social. That's social democracy. There's no taxation socialism whatsoever. It's the abolishment of property.
This is an economics.
But hold on. Here, I've actually been kind of pissed about this because this is where I got to get fucking meaner. Because people are coming out and talking about like how fucking communism is good and shit like that. It's like, motherfucker, it never worked. You do not have an economics degree. You have a liberal arts degree. You know nothing about fucking numbers or money or fucking anything. And it's because nobody's punching these people in the fucking face. People need to get punched in the face more because they're saying fucking retarded shit all the time.
Would that person be Richard Spencer?
They were.
I don't know who that is.
They asked James Caan one time. They're like, "Oh, James, you said actors shouldn't talk about politics, right?" He goes, "Yeah, I don't think actors should talk about politics." He said, "Why?" So, because I don't see any poli-sci degrees on these fucking people.
Right, exactly. A lot of people, like, to get back to Conrad, like, when I first started stand-up, I came from more, like, going out, like, a different world of, like, hanging out at, like, dive bars, and where if you stepped on someone's sneaker, that could be a fucking fist fight right there. So when I went into stand-up, and you're hanging out at, like, the creek in the cave, or, like, outside the alligator lounge, and these comics are hanging around, and they're trying to break balls, and whatever. Look, in the spirit of comedy, it's like, whatever, you take it. But every now and then, someone would say something, and it wouldn't be like in the spirit of breaking balls, and you'd be like, oh, this is someone just that hasn't been punched in the face before.
I hate passive aggressiveness from a male.
Yeah, it's that sort
so
of
gay.
ordeal.
Oh.
But it's also, there's an art to it.
Right.
Like, breaking balls is like being funny and like being like, it's like there's a perfect.
There's a charm to it.
Yeah, the charm is a perfect way to put it, and they don't fucking have it.
And they don't. It's like, Frank's Italian, we're Italian, so it's like
everybody's Italian.
Yeah, everyone's Italian besides Zombie and Conrad. And there is like a charm when Italian guys break balls with each other. Like you always see those mob like type movies, and I had uncles who are always breaking like fucking balls and shit, And there's a charm, and then every now and then someone gets offended, and it does actually end up where someone fights each other.
There's that great scene in The Sopranos when Robert Fornaro, Eugene, breaks the bottle over I think
Little
Paulie's head.
Yeah,
right, because he made a reference to him being gay. Only in like a show like The Sopranos would actually depict that. A lot of people would be like, what's wrong with being gay? It's like, well, fucking guys on a construction site don't want to be accused of sucking another man's cock.
Right.
Yeah, business.
Yeah, you know who's there's only two groups of I guess white people that are good at breaking balls. That's the Irish and the Italians.
Yeah.
They're fucking both, and that's why like all the Northeast,
they hated each other too.
Yeah, but the Northeast is all Irish and Italian, and that's why everyone's fucking funny from up here.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
It's like you get out into the fucking Midwest. I mean, the Midwest, there's some parts that are funny, but like Ohio and shit. But like you get that. Why is there fucking nobody funny from Arizona? It's because they fucking suck. They have no capability.
They also haven't left their house. It's 120 degrees, and they just sit there. I mean, Stanhope lives out there. He lives in Bigsby or whatever the fuck. And I guess that's like he rules there. Or whatever.
Somebody was telling me he hates New York City. He hates coming here.
He does.
He comes here to do a show, but like he hates it.
He ripped up Skankfest like 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah?
He's like, and this would annoy me about Stanhope, and I think Stanhope's hilarious. But what annoyed me about him, he's like the guy who's like, I take the microphone anywhere and I just go up. And then he had the nerve to rip up Skankfest. He's like, they put me in a basement of 40 people. There's no fucking air conditioning. It's like you're the fucking guy who doesn't complain about shit like this, and you're going after the. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Skanks, so it kind of was funny, but like you're going after them for like being like unprofessional. Meanwhile, that's your whole gimmick for the last 30 years.
What did you think about the pop up of the Tough Crowd reunion?
I thought it was stupid and it was wasted.
The good ones are dead.
Yeah,
Geraldo and Patrice O'Neal were like the main guys.
Those were the two guys.
And DePaulo wasn't
and they
there.
didn't have him. And what happened with that was Rebecca Trent didn't call him.
She didn't call DePaulo?
Yeah,
because he's now he's labeled like he's like a martyr now, right? Because he does conservative commentary.
I guess so. I don't know. He's funny.
But I thought it was wasted because if you're going to do a reunion for that show, first off, why even reunite? Everyone's done that show. Like we're doing it right here, so it's like everyone's done. Bobby Kelly's podcast is Tough Crowd. It's the same show.
Right.
So to bring them all back, and like you said, Geraldo and Patrice were the biggest stars of that show, and DePaulo I think was third, and then probably Norton and Keith.
But isn't it kind of sad when a comedy show has to pay tribute to like two guys that died? You know, like the spirit of that show was supposed to be like fucking. They were like they would mock shit like that. Then they got to take it like very seriously and be like, oh, who couldn't be with us? Patrice O'Neal and Greg Giraldo. Yeah. I didn't listen to it, so I have no idea.
But also the spirit of fucking the country and the spirit of fucking comedy is fucking dead.
Sure. Yeah.
It's all fucking pathetic. Like you go around and it's like fucking I can't even describe it.
Can anyone even like define what comedy is? Like there's that fucking comedy special, Nanette, that people keep talking about. I'm like, that's not a comedy special. That's just some fucking mentally ill broad talking about bullshit.
It's not even the audiences. Like, if you go in any liberal city, of course the audiences can be uptight. But in general, the audiences are not that bad. But the comedians in the comedy scene in New York City are so fucking uptight and liberal. This guy James, who runs the open mic at 6 p.m. at the Creek in the Cave, told me I can't say slurs at the mic. He banned Mateo. He banned how many people? Mateo saying like 15.
A lot. I don't know the exact number, but it's a lot.
There's
of people.
a large number of people that are so banned from that mic. They're actually at the Pine Box because that's a better alternative.
Yeah,
I've done that.
How
Pine
do you
Box.
ban people? What's the reason he banned you?
I said I was like months ago. I said I disturbed the peace, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Which is comedy. Is fucking
Yeah, well,
disturbing
when
the peace.
open mics are not supposed to be safe spaces. It's so stupid.
You do, and some of these guys don't do bad shows. Like they have to get out of New York City. Every other show you do out of New York, you're disturbing the bar.
Like last night they had a guest host.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I guess the ban on slurs is off. So I couldn't wait to say faggot on stage. So I just went up there and said faggot. Okay, can I?
Faggot's a slur now?
I called Sam Morrison a faggot on stage. I'm friends with him. What the fuck? If you're friends with somebody, you can call them.
Yeah, of course.
Sure, yeah. Byron Sadiq calls me a guinea. I don't really care. People are fucking pussies, man.
But here's also the kind of thing I was thinking about. I used to fucking blame the audience a lot, and like I try not like only in my head. I'm not like I'm always put it on me, like because that's the best way to do it. It's like, okay, it's probably me, even though it's not. It's going to make you better. But then I started realizing it's the comics I'm on the show with. They're bombing so fucking hard before me, and I used to not watch, and now I'm watching, and they're bombing so fucking hard that I have to spend 6 minutes hosting for myself to get the audience engaged. Dude, I had to follow fucking Janine Garofalo. She fucking bombed so hard they lit her like she's supposed to do 15. They lit her an 8.
Where was this?
This was at Beauty Bar. She took her purse and dumped it on the stage and then just started talking about things on her purse. And it was so bad. Like, this is when I know it's bad. When I go up afterwards, people don't know who the fuck I am. That's fine. And I go, hey, how's everybody doing? Like, just to, temperature the engagement in it. And nobody says anything. It's like, oh, my God, this is fucking bad. I got to spend 6 minutes talking to every individual person in the room.
It's like a train wreck. She used to be famous and she looks different.
Yeah,
like, I don't know. She's like the female Mickey Rourke. Like I don't know what happened.
Really? That's hilarious.
And like and people. And
she's turning into a guy.
She covered herself in tattoos because apparently she hates herself. But like she gets on stage and people are just like, it's a train wreck. Like, oh my God, is that the girl from Reality Bites?
So she gets on stage and one of her bits. Is she still talking about like politics and shit like that?
I guess
rambles.
so. It's rambling. I think
punchlines.
People are enabling that type of behavior because she's famous.
She's famous.
Right. Yeah. But like dumps her purse out and just starts talking about this is like chapstick and like it's like so bad.
That's bad comedy.
That the people that want her to be there were like, get her off now. But this is like that. I just brought up that as an extreme example to make a point. It's every comedian before that. Like there's girls I've seen. I walked in one time. I was on a show. The girl was hosting. And I've never seen her before, which is not a good sign. Right. Because if I've never heard of you, you're a zilch in this town. No, so I go, I'm watching her set, and she closes, like didn't say any jokes. She closes by saying, you know that when Scientologists, they want to perform an abortion, they beat women in the stomach with rods. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Was that not a punchline?
Like, this is horrible for me to say to you guys. Like, it ruins the mood now. She does that at a comedy show, and the fucking show is over. And then she brings up the next comic, just like, okay, next comic's like, do you know what you just did?
Well, there's a lot of diversity spots and stuff. My friend was telling me the other day that he brought his friend from Australia to see a show, and he goes, the women on the show were really bad. How did they get booked? He goes, well, you can't have all men. He goes, yeah, but they were really bad. He goes, I know, but what are you going to do?
That's why I enjoy booking shows out here where no one's paying attention, and I can put whoever I want.
No, nobody's paying attention anyway. That's just fucking like common decency.
No one pays attention to booking women on the show.
Yeah, but nobody's paying attention else in New York too.
Elsewhere.
It's just book funny people, but they don't do that.
Of course.
And here's my thing. It's like I'm trying not to come off and sounding bitter, like ever. Like I never want to sound like that. But the number one priority in booking comedy is not funny. It's not. Number one is probably diversity, whatever that means. Number two is
your friends,
or like social media,
and people who are bookers and headliners like people who kiss their ass.
And also, too, trying to get laid. People book people that they're trying to fuck. Oh, yeah. Number two is, and number four is trading spots, probably in various orders. And being funny is like very low down that list.
By the time they get to someone who actually earns the spot, it's like, well, I have maybe one spot left, and that's for maybe someone who could help you out.
Right, and then that's your number 9 on a show with fucking 10 other comics who bombed before you.
Right,
The
exactly.
thing that bites my ass is not even so much the diversity shit. I think a lot it's amplified. It was there before Trump, but the Trump situation and the Harvey Weinstein situation and the Bill Cosby situation have really amplified it and made
People
it
are more vicious
right.
now.
But the thing that bothers me, and it always bothered me many years ago, is like if you're an up-and-coming comic who's edgy, they're like, oh, you can't do this yet. You have to make it first, then you get edgy. Because like Richard Pryor wasn't edgy at first, and like
Different generation.
So what am I supposed to do? Be clean until I make it, and then do my real.
Kind of
jokes?
works in the opposite way now, where guys were edgy, and then, like Jim Norton, for instance,
Right.
like he was edgy and he was a cringe comic, and now he's just very soft.
Is he? I don't know.
Yeah.
But people say, I auditioned for a club one time, and a guy said, you're doing jokes like a headliner would do. You can't do that at your level.
Maybe you are a
Can't, you can't do this at your level. I'm like, whatever.
That makes zero sense.
I know.
I don't understand because that's what it is. People look at it too much like an art form and don't look at it as someone just grabbing a mic and being entertained and being fucking funny.
Yeah.
You know.
Here's what I think about it. It's there. Here, a lot of people say this person's funny, whatever. The major thing you need to do, also number one as a comedian, is do the fucking job.
Right.
Okay, you're going to go out to Staten Island. You're going to go out to fucking Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You don't know these people. They don't know you. Can you make them laugh? And it's that's the job. And now you can get a little creative outside of that. But people can't even do the fucking job.
No.
Nobody in New York City can do the fucking job. They can't go to a club somewhere and host and do anything. They're fucking depressing.
And they want you to buy their product. You're a businessman. You know, like,
Right.
This is my product. If I'm funny, that means I'm doing something right. They will still want you to buy the product, even though they're not funny. They want you to buy it because the way they look, or because you don't have enough of this on your show. Fuck you. I don't want to buy what you're selling.
I
You
learned
suck.
my lesson because like I went to Brooklyn and I started doing well there, and then the jokes that really killed there did not work anywhere else. So I stepped back and I mostly stay in Queens, and I'm just being true to what I think is funny.
Yeah.
And it's like I know the stuff that I think is funny is going to work in a real club, and it's going to work on the road, and it'll even work on television if I have the opportunity. I could care less about making hipsters laugh. That's such a small part of the comedy world.
Oh, it really is.
And a lot of these kids will argue with me, like, you know, Frank, there's places like Brooklyn in every city. I'm like, good, I'll avoid those parts.
But that's the weird thing is that's where people are looking for talent, is in that fucking minutia of a place that's not fucking good. But that is the beauty part of it. Like, I drive myself crazy all the time, half the time, of like, okay, maybe I should be doing something different. But then the other time you fit into that place is like, I'm just trying to be funny, and I'm just trying to be creative, and I'm just trying to be good and stay true to myself. That's like the zen part of it. But then what drives you fucking crazy is the business part of it.
Oh, that's why you just got to avoid it. Like, you know, social media is the worst because everyone puts their shit on there. So any little thing, like any little thing, you know, you're just gonna know about. Like recently, I had to write a bio for us and just to send it to people. The fucking shit in the bio that I put is so exaggerated, but it looks fucking amazing. And I was like, if I was 2 months into comedy and I read this bio, I'd be like, oh, these guys are fucking famous.
That's a great bio then, because that's marketing.
It's not. I'm like, this is. I'm like Sirius XM appearances. Oh, I participate in festivals.
That's great.
Like, and I know it's bullshit. I know Devil's Cup is
that's
ridiculous.
That's not the business part I'm talking about.
No, I know.
Like,
yeah.
for example, I said this the other day because I really fucking am sometimes in a bubble in my own head. So I was talking to comics, and I'm like, you know what I'm starting to realize? That not every comic who goes up on stage is trying to kill. Like, my number one priority when I go up on stage, I'm trying to fucking kill.
You're trying to kill.
And the other
Definitely.
people are like, yeah, no one's trying to do that. They're trying to get across their point. No, they're trying to get across their brand. I almost punched the person. I almost killed the messenger for telling me that.
Yeah.
I hate that shit. I was on a show last summer with T.J. Miller and Nick Batterat.
Yeah.
I did a drop-in.
Yeah.
So
Frank, you brought up the last two ones.
I'm still going to bring it up.
Okay,
It's fine.
yeah.
Bring it up. Yeah, it's
So
fine. It's fine.
It's annoying to me that, like, I did my, you know, obviously it was a big show to me because there was a lot of people there. So for me, I did my A stuff.
Yeah.
Then Nick
Sure.
Batterat got up and he was fucking around, but he still did good. T.J. Miller gets up, turns his back to the audience, and starts whining about Trump. I'm like, get the fuck out of here! You go rape a girl with a soda can, whatever. What's he do? Rape girls with soda cans?
But you see,
Coke bottle of a glass
go,
one.
Go stick a Coke bottle up a girl's ass.
He really raped a girl with a Coke bottle?
I don't know. I tend to believe it after all the shit we've seen the last 6 or 7 months. But it wasn't a Rolling Stone.
You know what's weird? I read a weird story about him and the cast of Silicon Valley, like bullying people. Like, and if you're being bullied by Silicon Valley cast, what would the Sopranos cast do to you?
Yeah.
Like, they would just abuse you.
By the way, I love how Mateo is paying attention to what we said last time. He's like the fucking producer. He's like editing.
He also disturbed Rob by he's doing something.
He ripped off his nail. Just
How many
now.
updates did you get in that fucking group chat?
Oh, dude, every 10 seconds. I started at 11 o'clock yesterday, and it was a million things.
I get to the ferry. He's like standing guard outside,
just waiting with dogs.
like a camp counselor waiting for the kids to come.
He's got a sign with Frank's name on it, like a limousine driver at the airport.
He might not recognize me. I see him every night.
You know the funny thing is, you know how in New York they got the people soliciting tourists. Oh, you go to the world. You looking for the Statue of Liberty?
Yeah.
So everybody's coming out of the train and they're going. They're like Statue of Liberty, Statue of Liberty, Statue of Liberty. They look at me. They skip me. They didn't say that. They could just tell that I'm from here.
You know what's also funny about the Staten Island ferry is no fucking security. Like, if you're a fucking terrorist, you could just be like, yeah, I'm just
no
going to kill all these people. But I guess people wouldn't care about people going to Staten Island.
There are security guards. There are like cops. We actually drank with one guy who worked on the ferry at like right where I pick you guys up. There's a bar called Pier 76, like right there. We're drinking with this fucking loser. He's like 50. He's like divorced. Like the whole story. And he was like, "What are you guys doing next?" This is when we were like 22. I was with my friend. He's like, "What are you guys doing next?" I'm like, "We're going to a bar across the island." Like we just told him anything. He's like, "I'll fucking drive you." So I was like, "All right."
We need a ride.
We had to spend money on the train going back. We had Metro cards. So me, my friend, and Rob go into this guy's car. He's like fucking driving like a maniac, like a cop. And we're like, it's stupid because you would think you would die, you know? Right. But I didn't care. So we go to this place, the sports bar. He sees his son. This guy, like, literally sees his kid, and we're like, "Oh my god!" He's like, not joking, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" So we're like, "Dude, we gotta get the fuck out of here." So the guy's like, "What do you guys want to drink? It's on me." So he gets us 4 Heinekens, and like we go, like, we're going to the bathroom real quick, like broads, like we'll powder our nose. So we go to the bathroom. We're like, "Dude, we gotta get the fuck out of here." So there was a lot of people that we sneaked through the back, and we leave, and we see the guy getting the 4 Heinekens looking for us, and just shaking his head, going, he knew he left. He knew it. Not again.
But it's funny that you call this guy like a loser, and I almost felt bad for him. But it's like, no, he just draws that sort of shit to him.
Yeah,
like,
there was no reason to like. Why are you talking to us? Like, we were like 22. Right. He was like 50.
It's like one of those guys who like is always begging to be liked. It's like going to go the opposite for you.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh, it was just
one of my friends said to me the other day, some guy was mad at him, some other comic. He's like, "It's bothering me." I go, "Why?" He goes, "I can't take it when somebody doesn't like me." He goes, like, for instance, you probably like that. I go, "Yeah, I mean, I just think life is too short." So if somebody is in my orbit and and they're getting on my nerves, I cut them out like a cancer.
Of course.
I don't need that aggravation.
Yeah, especially like, why would you want to deal with?
And some people might
around?
think, some people might look at me and say, "Well, Frank's difficult. He fights with everybody." I don't fight with everybody. I'm around a lot of people. I fight with like 10, 15 people. So I'm around how many people on a weekly basis? Hundreds, a couple of hundred.
Why, who are you fighting with now?
A couple of comics. And I'm fighting with them.
Feuding.
I had
it's like wrestling.
I butted heads with a couple of comics. There's a couple of comics that aren't speaking to me, and that's normal.
Who's that?
I don't want to say.
Okay. Right.
But also, too, this comes down to like
it doesn't matter really.
No, okay.
The most important thing in life is principles, right? So like you have to like fucking live your life. It's like, this is how I live, and I think it's virtuous in my fucking realm, right? Yeah. And if somebody doesn't like you, well then I'm living righteously in my own way,
you
right?
You know what? You're not supposed to get along with everybody.
Exactly.
You ever hear the Paul Newman quote? If you don't have enemies, you don't have character.
Yeah.
Who wants to get along?
But
with
it's also too like okay, so like one of my best friends, I didn't know about this, was dealing with an addict, right? You're enabling. You're an enabler. You're doing worse for them. Like somebody said, it's better to be somebody. It's better to be not friends with somebody. To be somebody's best friend. I'm sorry. To be somebody's best friend is to not be friends with them at all. Right. You got to cut people out of your life. Yes, like skin cancer. Cut that shit out and fucking move on. And that you got to do that with human beings too. You got to do that with audiences. You got to do that with your fucking fans. Whatever. It's like, I'm living righteously. I'm going to live by what I think is funny and good. And if you don't like it, then go fuck yourself.
Right.
I'm friends with like 1,500 comics. I had fights, verbal and almost fist fights with about 15 of them. That's not a lot. It's 1%, right?
Yeah.
It should be more.
There's something I'd like to add about that. My theory is that you cannot measure friendship or love through numbers. It can only be intensity. And the more intense you are and committed is good. That's why fundamentalism is good.
See, I like Mateo because he doesn't talk a lot, but when he does, he says something I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
But even think about
sounds
this.
good though. Sounds
like
great.
Okay, like you can. when I was a kid, I used to think this was.
Mateo's getting popular.
I used to think this was sad when people were like, you can only hope for like 3 or 4 family members to be really tight with, and like 2 or 3 best friends.
Right.
And it's fucking true. Like, because you can't control these motherfuckers out there. People are out there fucking. It's like when Jesus was on the cross, he says, "Forgive them, God, for they know not what they do."
It is
People
done.
are out there.
Didn't he punch it up, Mateo?
Yeah.
He's got it. Let him talk.
It's like
he's a hype man. He's like Flavor Flav.
He's the inspirational hype man.
He's a Flavor Flav of the show.
It's like when rappers, they can't rap the whole time, you know what I mean? Because it's like a studio and cut, so they're like, all right, let the other guy rap for a little bit.
They
That's
put
what I'm
like
saying.
some fan on stage. Go on, what were you saying?
But anyway, it's like people don't know what the fuck they're doing out there. Like, I don't think people are bad, and I don't think they're stupid. They're unaware. They're out there fucking just doing who the fuck
idea.
knows was, unconscious. So you can hopefully link up with like a few best friends and a few people in your family that you can get along with. Sure. That's the best. And then you fucking insulate them and hope to best that they're not fucking addicts or whatever. And then you move on through life with a very few amount of people around you, and that's it. So you can fucking piss other people off and not give a fuck.
And it's funny because we have that in common here. And you look at audiences, and there's like 50 people who you're just like, oh my god, I wouldn't even talk to any of these fucking people off stage. But it was funny because Frank told me a great story where you did Frank's show, and you went up. I think he went up last, and you just like saw a couple.
I'll tell you the story.
Yeah,
so
this is hilarious.
So I get in there, and there's 5 people in there.
I don't have the. By the way, before you tell us, I don't have the balls to ever do this. I like to think I would, and I still. There's a part of me that would want to make those people laugh.
Dominic Fogarty was on the show, and he goes, Frank, he goes, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. But if I was producing that show, I might have been upset. I said, no, I didn't care. I thought it was funny.
Let me tell you.
Go on. I'm sorry.
So I get into the show, and there's comics there. All the comics I like. You know, it's the handsome bastards show. Frank booked just all good looking male comics.
Greatest title for any show.
And
Just a one-off.
Matt Dillon was on the poster.
Matt Dillon.
I love the credits are so funny. It's like, and Frank's credit is God's gift to women. It's so great. It's so great. It's Mike Racine, TV famous, Conrad Roth, the bad boy, Greg Warner, boy next door, Frank Terranova, the God's gift to women. It was
like the boy band archetypes, you know, the bad boy, the fucking shy one.
It's hilarious.
So I get to the show, and it's the comics I like, not because of their physical attractiveness, whatever. It's just they're just like guys they're just guys. They'll fucking talk about whatever. Sure. Okay, so I get in there, and there's one table to stage left of three people, two girls and a guy, and they're fucking having a great time. And then right in front of me is this a couple, I guess. I don't know. It's a weird fucking situation. Maybe a Tinder date. Who the fuck knows? And what bothered me about this guy is he's wearing a red flannel with a fucking white cardigan on top of it. Okay? So immediately I'm like, I fucking... If I wasn't performing, I'd probably fucking poke this guy in the fucking eye. And he's sitting next to this girl, whatever. So I'm doing the show, and then, like, there's only 5 people, so I'm trying to engage them. Like, hey, real quick to the table to the left. They're in. They fucking love it. They're laughing. Yeah. And then the table in front, I'm like, all right, they're going to be a little hard to. So I got to be like, hey, have you ever, you guys like drinking at work or whatever it is? And I'm trying, no fucking response, one after the other. And I'm like, hey, where are you guys from? What are your names? Just trying to get them engaged so I can go do my fucking jokes. Nothing. So I just look at both of them like, get the fuck up. Like, what are you talking about? Like, get the fuck up, get out of here. And they're like, why? It's like, you're bumming me out. This is fucking horrible, and you guys are not making me have a good time, and I've tried to help you, and whatever, and like, get the fuck up. And they're like, okay, we're leaving, and just for a record, we saw you here last week, and you were funny. It's like, you didn't. Fucking leave. And the table to the left was so fucking, like... loving it so much. One of the rare times somebody came up to me after the show at a bar and they go to me, that was amazing.
They were very nice.
They were great sense of humor, and then that's just how it was. It's like, I'm done dealing with these fucking people.
Honestly, walking people is not a bad thing. We did a show in Salem, and this rowdy crowd of fucking old ladies, they were just annoying everybody the entire night. I said something, I don't remember what it was. They were upset by it. They walked, rested at fucking my set. I did 20 minutes. I fucking play with the crowd, hang out.
Well, some audience members just bum the rest of the people.
They fuck with people.
Stand-up comedy is the only art form where people are disrespectful to the people doing it.
Yeah.
Nobody bothers a saxophone player or an actor.
Never.
It's like a comedian. They feel like they can do it.
You know the reason why is because everyone thinks they're funny. You know?
Not true. I can think of examples of YouTube for like people being obnoxious to magicians.
All right.
There's a stigma against funny people.
Mateo had to stick up for.
But here's the thing too: is like I can't believe like back in the day, like they'd say like Bill Hicks would like walk hefty. I don't want anybody to walk, okay? But if you're fucking melanoma, I got to cut you the fuck out. Beat it because you're ruining it for everybody else.
Because you mentioned Bill Hicks, and I was listening to a conversation between Mark Maron and Bill Burr once, and Burr was just going off, and like Maron, of course, like kisses people's asses, but Bill Burr was telling the truth. It's like Bill Hicks would turn his back on the audience. No booker, he wouldn't get booked today, or like he wouldn't get booked in the last 20 years. If you did that, if Frank, let's say you did that with your reputation, apparently, they'd be like, this guy's a fucking asshole. We're never going to book. You'll be banned or shunned.
That's already happened. without doing that.
But maybe
just being myself, it's already happened.
Yeah, but I'm really thinking about it, like talking about being meaner to people. It's like, listen, it's not working out trying to be like just funny. Like the fucking righteous way is like, I'm just trying to be fucking good and kill. And I'm not trying to walk people. I want everyone to be having a good time. I'm trying to bring a slight relief to this fucking world, however way I do it. And it's fucking impossible, and maybe nothing's happening, so who the fuck cares? Why not burn every fucking bridge, burn the fucking building down, burn everything down, because that's maybe the metaphor of why fucking God floods the earth. There's scumbags, and we gotta flood the fucking earth of fucking everybody, all bad audiences, all bad comedy, all fucking people. That might be my calling. It's just like,
you know, fucking, you know, it's funny, like a lot of people who are popular in the scene are not necessarily talented. Right?
Yeah, sure.
However, when regular audience members hang out at the Creek and stuff, you know who they always say their favorite comics are? Me and Conrad.
Yeah, of course.
They always say that. I've heard that more than 3 times.
You know?
And you know what's crazy about it? And here's what I kind of realized a little bit of it is that, and I don't know if it's necessarily about being like the funniest or whatever, but it's engaging. Like I was watching Frank, and he's actually like, the audience is engaged. Like you feel like
you want to hang out with the guy.
Yeah, or you are hanging out with him, right? And he's saying fucked up shit. It's like, listen to one of your fucking funny family members. You're like, you shouldn't be saying that, but I get what you're coming from, and you're a little ridiculous. Like I'm laughing at you and with you at the same time, but you're engaged. You go up in some of these fucking wooden Pinocchio comics, and you're like, dude, I can't fucking laugh at. Write it down on a piece of paper and email it to me, and I'll fucking laugh at it. But
so busy trying to be good guys. Like I was hanging out with a guy last night. He's been on TV a couple of times, and that's all he was talking about. He was telling me he's like, I got to go do this special, and I met this guy, and he told me I was funny. I'm like, can you say something else that isn't like you blowing yourself?
Yeah.
Jesus, I'm so bored.
It's funny because when you do crowd work, right? There's a way of doing crowd work, and a lot of Williamsburg comics, they frown upon crowd work for whatever reason. Don't know.
They don't fucking
they don't know
work.
how to do it
because they don't know how to fucking engage with anybody. You have to engage with the audience.
They think act outs are hacky. Act outs are fucking hard.
And they never. And a lot of those guys have never really been booked in front of like a big crowd where you can do crowd work.
When you do crowd work,
5 people.
There's 2 types of crowd work. There's insult crowd work where people like, hey, like if I'm sitting in the audience, I'm like, dude, don't even look at me. I'm not the don't fuck with me. And then there's the guy like what you do, what Frank does well, and you do well too. Mateo, not so much. No, I'm just kidding. But what you do well is that when you're on stage, Frank, I'm like, I'll have Frank, throw a shot at me. Like I'll take it. Because I want because you want to hang out with you on stage, and that's the difference between doing really good crowd work and there's guys who do bad crowd work.
Stand-up comedy is not theater; it's not acting.
Yeah.
So like, there's no fourth wall. And I tell Conor McCausland is a guy who I think has a lot of potential.
Who?
Conor,
I like. Yeah, Conor's the man.
He's an up and coming comic.
Very
He's doing
funny.
it less than 2 years.
Yeah.
And
good writer.
He's a good writer.
He wears fucking sandals with socks. I don't like it.
He's a nice kid. All right, he's got his problems. No, but he asks me for advice a lot of times, and I tell him, look at the fucking people when you tell a joke.
Sure.
Look at the fucking people.
Why not?
And last night he went on stage, and I saw him looking at the fucking ceiling. I said, you got to stop fucking doing it. I yell at him like he's my little brother. And he appreciates it. I told him, don't ever wear a hat again on stage. He stopped wearing hats. Like, no, yeah.
He has great hair, too.
Yeah, like...
What kind of hats was he wearing?
I don't remember the hat.
You know what it is? You know what? I realized kind of what it is, like the insult and the engaging. And you know what is insulting and engaging is breaking balls. So if you see a guy in the audience, like Frank does it sometimes more often than me, he'll compliment somebody. Like, hey, look at this guy, he's fucking good looking. And then he'll look over at somebody else. His intention is not to fucking make people upset, but he's going to honestly react. Hey, this good looking guy over here, and this guy, what the fuck is this? Sure. What kind of shirt are you? So that's breaking balls, but it's engaging because it's an honest take and it's like hanging out. if you're wearing a shirt that I don't like, I'm going to make fun of you
Last
for it.
night I was like, the least you could do was take a shower. Jesus Christ, it stinks in here. You ever go in the creek sometimes at 6 o'clock on a summer night?
Oh,
my God,
smells.
Well, and the worst is when you do a show, right? And you're doing it with 8 comics, and there's someone and it's a dead crowd, 14 people, and you're just like, and then there's the one couple who's into the show the entire night, and that's who the comedians are going after.
Right.
They're just pandering toward them, and then you go up and you're just like, I'm not going to do that.
I remember
I'd rather take the ball.
I remember doing a mic at the Creek once, and I hate when audience members or if there's regular people there are in the room because everybody goes fucking nuts, and because they don't play in front of audience members a lot of the time, so the entire night is like bad crowd work with these people. I just fucking hate that. And I remember Flanagan went up and he was actually you would think he would do crowd work. He does material. He was like, fuck this
he's not
shit.
a crowd work guy.
No, but you would think he would go after them. He was like, nah, fuck that. I'm going to fucking do my material. And I was like, that's how to do it. I'm not fucking...
Something reminded me earlier when Frank was telling this guy of look at the audience or whatever. One thing that's great about the Creek is that you can sit back there and observe comedy without listening to it. So all the bullshit goes away.
Yeah.
So you're because people can trick you with their fucking rhetoric or their fucking jokes or whatever language. But when you sit back there, you'd be like, yeah, that guy's stiff. That guy stinks. And the one thing that I always used to see when I sit back there, for people that don't know, that there's a garage door made of all plexiglass. You can look in, right? So I would notice that people would go onto the stage, grab the microphone that's in the stand, and as they're putting the microphone stand behind them, they're talking into the ground. Hey, how you guys doing? Whatever. It's and so I thought to myself, you know what I'm going to fucking do? I'm going to take my time, taking the microphone out, putting it wherever. I'm going to look at the audience for a second, take it all in, and then start reacting. And that's when you're fucking engaged. So engagement is very rare in comedy.
The first 10 seconds of your set is very important,
yes.
I think. A lot of people waste that. And I'm not saying it's out of courtesy to thank the host. Hey, please give it up for your host. Very nice gesture, but comedy's not supposed to be nice. That first 10 seconds, you're too busy thanking the host. You got to have a fucking solid...
Our act specifically, I can't waste time.
I can't waste 10 seconds to thank
the host was great. Fucking
no, don't do that. The thing is, and this is in life too, it's like fucking Zen Buddhism, and it's true. Is you got to be present. You got to be fucking in the room. You can't be thinking about some other shit or anticipating or something. You got to be present, and that's why I think a lot of people should be taking acting classes, because that's what it teaches you above everything else, is how to be present in the moment, because that's engaging. We're engaged right now in the present moment, right? We're not fucking reading jokes off a piece of paper, or I'm not reading from a teleprompter in my head. We're just going, and that's engagement. And that's a very fucking rare thing.
I was going to read a joke off the piece of paper, but Greg never
stole it from me.
Greg never brought up Louis J. Gomez.
Did you guys do Skank Fest at all? No. Well,
I'm not in there. I'm not on their list.
I can't, because you guys are Frank more than I guess, but you're synonymous with the Creek in the Cave, and
I don't get booked at the Creek in the Cave. I don't ever get booked there.
But it's like your plate. From my perspective,
they don't book the comics that hang out there. They book people who don't hang out there.
There's two things when I talk to New York comic, around the scene. When you mention Creek, they mention Legion of Skanks and they mention Terranova because you hang out there. So it's kind of weird how they wouldn't even throw you a spot on that. Thing.
I generally like the place, and I like Rebecca too, and she's always been nice to me, and I appreciate that the place exists.
Yeah,
because I honestly don't know what I would do if that place wasn't around. It means a lot to me, and I do a lot to keep that place alive in people's thoughts. I promote it all the time.
There's a part of it where people probably go there as open mic comics who hear of some of the names that hang out there. Because when I first started, and I heard of Legion of Skanks, I was like, Creek in the Cave is the place to be. That's going to be the next Comedy Cellar. I mean, not really, but but that's part of it why I went there. So that's when I started doing mics there. So it's got to be part of it where people hear your name, especially now that you have done stuff on what we're seeing. So they hear about the Creek, and there's an allure to it. So people probably go there thinking, hey, if Terranova sees me and likes me, I may open up for him, in Alabama somewhere. Yeah. But there is a part of it where you do sell the place.
I promote the place as much as I can. I like it. I don't want to see it go away, and it's fighting to stay in business because it's not doing great. But I've had a lot of hangouts go away as a kid growing up, and I'm always sad to see them go. So I'm like, I don't want history to repeat itself. I don't want to see this place go away.
Well, Rebecca Trent's not going to be murdered by the mafia.
No. I mean, I thank God that place is around. It's really, people could say what they want about it, but I love it. And also, it's not, except for the Friday mic at 6, it's not really a safe space place.
No, it's not.
Well, a lot of it has to do with like the way it turned over. When I first started going there, it was a little bit, but like fucking, there was that once the Experiment Comedy Gallery had shut down, we got that fucking like. They were like refugees coming into the Creek in a Cave.
Yeah. Most of those people aren't even around anymore.
They're not around anymore.
The experimental guys, I mean, some of them are still around, but they're just so bad.
Yeah.
That was the worst nucleus of comedians in New York City in the history of the world. The Experimental Gallery Comics. I remember when that place closed, Jake Fromm made a post of saying, I really like the Experimental Gallery Comics. They're very progressive. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
You know what is very interesting about the Creek? I've been in New York doing comedy 6.5 years. For the first 6 months, I was so fucking scared of going there because it was filled with the biggest fucking cunts on the fucking planet. And they would you would go up, you would do your set, and they'd shit on everybody else.
Could you name names?
It doesn't even fucking matter.
Okay. Are they famous now or no?
No, none of them, I don't think. But so and you can't live like that. So that all kind of went away, right? And also the great part is, like I mentioned earlier, the garage door with that fucking the plexiglass. Yeah. You don't have to watch a set. So like, if I was forced to watch a open mic, I'd be so furious. I'd be heckling every fucking comic. Yeah. I can't take it. But what you get is a fair shot in there because people don't have to listen if they don't want to listen. So you can go up there, you try your material, and that's that. There's no clicks there. There's no fucking really nothing. Isn't. It's just like, maybe me, Frank, there's a couple other guys that are there every fucking day, but it's like, I'm not there to terrorize people. I'm not there to fucking, and maybe I should terrorize them. Maybe I should.
It's the only place I go. I mean, I've been to every scene and everything, and I've just decided in the last 6 months I'm just going to go to the Creek because it's so convenient.
Oh, you're right there.
I live in Queens.
But you get a fair shot. You go up. It's not like, I need to make...
It's not a bad hangout either.
But I'm saying, like, does anyone is like, the Creek open mic audience is fucking, like, cliquish or whatever? No, because it's different every fucking day.
I think when Rob and I first started going there, which is like 3 years ago, it was a little cliquey.
I never really paid attention. I never paid attention
to it.
And maybe that's seeing the...
Because that's what I heard.
What's the phrase? The tree from the forest. If you're like in the thick of it, you're only seeing the tree and you can't see it as a forest. It's like when you're in it at first, you think it's cliquish, but then you realize it's not. Because people cycle through there so quick that when I go up there and I'm performing there every day, I'm like, okay, I haven't seen most of these people. Now it's getting a little bit more, but it's like, I haven't seen these people before. It's like you get a fresh audience, fresh take every day.
You guys are going there longer than me. I've only been going there for 2 years.
Yeah. The thing is, I went to Creek to get better, not to network. There's a lot of people that go there
to network.
That's why I don't like, you guys were talking about the backyard or off mic. And I'm like, I don't like hanging out in the backyard because I don't want to have that fucking conversation where some douchebag comes over to me. It's like, hey, man, like, how are you? It's the most insincere shit where they're like, hey, man, how are you? And then the next fucking thing out of their mouth is, you got any shows and shit? I'm like, I don't want to do that.
As soon as we started running a show out here in Staten Island at the comic book store, I hung out at the Creek backyard. I was talking to Frank, and we were talking, and one guy came by, and I won't mention his name, but he's the guy.
Was it Max Ogle?
No, I won't mention his name. It wasn't Max Ogle. He's a nice guy. He would never get a spot.
Worst name of all time.
He's
a sweet kid.
He's a very nice guy.
That's a sitcom name, Max Ogle.
He looks like a sitcom character.
He's a very nice boy.
He looks like a sitcom. He looks like a 80s sitcom character from like fucking like a 13-year-old kid, like The Family. But the one guy I used to see all the time asking for fucking shows, and the guy never looked at me, not once. But now he knew I ran a show. He comes by, comes walking over. He's like, "Well, how's it going?" And I fell for it because I'm explaining to him what's going on with the show. I'm a fucking yenta, so I'm always talking about drama. So I'm just
hold on, what's a yenta?
You know what a yenta is?
No. Well, it's like a fishmonger.
It's like a Jewish woman. But she's always telling you your problems. And
all right, great word. I'll have to look into it. Or have Mateo explain it to me on the fucking Staten Island ferry for an hour.
I'm going to
10 definitions.
All right, so anyway, he
and I'm like explaining. I'm like, he's like, yeah, man, like that's terrible. He's like, yeah, whenever I can go up. I'm like, oh no, I knew this was coming. And then I'm just like, I turned to Frank. I'm like, yeah, so fucking the new Gotti movie's coming out.
There were so many people I would just walk around. Like, I gotta get because Frank attracts a lot of comics. Like at the creek, they all come over, and I'm like, if they can't talk to Frank, then they like find me and Greg. And I'm like, shit. Like,
since they banned smoking on the terrace, not that many people hang out there anymore.
Yeah. Oh, they got rid of that? Yeah.
Somebody complained about the weed smoke.
Right.
Well, the neighbors and shit like that.
Yeah.
But look at the fucking place. I mean, doesn't it look like that? It looks like they grow weed out of that place. I mean, just
what's great about it is it has that like right behind that backyard is like a fucking sewage dump.
Yeah.
So there's like you can't hear anything from there till the street. It's like 100 yards away from it. But yeah, that's a nice little tucked away place, and it's fucking great for comedy. And people, they don't. Here's the thing that people don't like to do. They don't like to work hard. They just.
I find it productive.
It's very productive, right? But like upstairs and like there's certain mics that like if used for what would you call it? Like exposure. I don't know if even fucking know why, but like you go upstairs, I'll see shows like I'm there every fucking day. Yeah. Upstairs, you go to a show, and that's where the fucking Bushwick comics book their fucking shows. Like, oh, you're out there doing like one mic a week somewhere in fucking Ridgewood or who the fuck knows where, and then now you fucking ingratiate yourself with Rebecca falsely because you're a fucking worm like they all are. And like, let me have a show up there on a Saturday, whatever, and then they'll stand in the back of the room.
They're very disloyal. The class that I came up with in the Brooklyn Comics, they used to hang around the creek because Rebecca used to have a lot of pull with Just for Laughs. And then when that wasn't so much a thing anymore, they abandoned the creek and started hanging out at the Pine Box in Bushwick.
Right.
So but they're a bunch of users. They're shitty people, and they're not loyal. Like when the place was struggling and for they had to close the doors for a little while and everything. It's not like these kids came back and did benefit shows or anything to help out. They don't do shit like that. They're fucking miserable.
Well, a lot of them are from they're transports or whatever the fuck. So
transplants.
They don't transplants, and they don't have the pull to even do that sort of stuff. They're probably living off their parents in a way. It's just so hard. They got to do a lot of stuff to even have a benefit show. And what are they going to give? I don't know. That's why it's amazing. At Cumtown, apparently that kid makes what, $40,000 a month.
Yeah,
and
one of them.
the whole show, but he gives two people 25%.
How the fuck is who's giving money?
The fans.
That's amazing.
It's great.
Everybody.
It's awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. But I just can't see giving money to a show.
People become fans and they want to listen to Nick Mullen what he has to say every week.
Right.
Like Howard
it's
Stern
free though.
fans,
Isn't it free? It's free.
Yeah, but there's donations.
No, there's a free one and there's the pay for one, which is
they have a pay.
but it's bloopers and outtakes.
What Mike Racine does on the sit down is he has the free show and then he has a bonus show. And they pay $5.
Wait, hold on, Mateo. You said that the show that people will pay for is bloopers and outtakes. Jesus. People will pay for the fucking shit that they cut out.
Yeah, I'm being serious.
Well, they're making money, so
go back to
God
Creek in the Cave.
No, but here's this fucking simple. Here's the simple part of it. People don't want to fucking work hard. You see everybody fucking trying to snake, and cut the corners, and they're trying to fucking create a fucking brand or whatever the fuck that is. Like, these people are not fucking good.
Right.
You can watch them and objectively be like, that's not good. I'll bring my fucking friends who I grew up with who are regular fucking people, and they love comedy, and they're fucking have no bias towards anything. They just like funny shit. They have wide range. Sit them down. Not even my friends. Just bring a regular fucking person, sit them down and be like, what'd you think about that?
Right.
Be like, it's horrible. Oh, that just happened with my fucking friend's mom. He brought he brought his mom to like some shows, and she's like, why is everybody fucking complaining about their life, and why are they always complaining? He's like, who wants to hear that shit? And she sees the show just like how we see them, but they keep going and going and going.
It's amazing when you bring people to a show and they watch other comics and guys who I'll be friends with, and I'll bring like my childhood friends. They'll come and watch a show, and I'll be like, well, what did you think of this guy? He was like, nah, he wasn't funny at all. And I'm like, no, he's funny. I'm explaining the joke to them. He's like, yeah, I got the fucking joke. He's just not funny. The kid.
Wait, so are you saying that you're biased or brainwashed to it?
No,
or they don't get it.
I would be. Well, I guess I would be a little biased towards my friend, and then you. Everyone has the reaction. Everyone knows who's funny.
I
don't think so. I don't think that's the case.
You don't think so?
No.
I mean, there's got to be a part of everyone that knows.
No.
There are certain people. There are certain people that I guess regular audience member wouldn't get. I can't name any. Most of the people that are funny, usually regular audience.
Like,
Conrad, you did my show, right? At Pepper Jacks, and like everybody was like, that guy's fucking good.
Jeremiah Sher, who's not for everyone, right? He's like a guy who does a lot of characters. Did our show, killed.
He's funny.
He's hilarious.
He's really funny. I always make fun of him because his jokes are simple, but he sells them so well.
Yeah.
Like every time he comes in, I'm like, this is the guy coming to the mic late. Hey, is it too late to throw my name in?
No, but he's just funny. It's just regular funny.
He's
This is the
hilarious.
guy doing a podcast in Staten Island. How long is it going to take to get to the ferry? That's his.
Castor Tano's another guy where I put him up in front of like regular folks, fucking working class. They love him.
Sometimes it takes them a minute with him.
It does because he's so odd.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, like, here's why I think people like. Thinking somebody's funny is different from knowing they're funny. Just like we all know what the right thing is, but we don't always do it.
That's
right?
true,
Like
yeah.
we are in the eyes of Christ, right? So they're brainwashed by who they think is funny or whatever. Like I should say they're funny because there's people around, or I'm trying to ingratiate myself or not stick out. And more people should be like, they're not funny for this fucking reason. It's being intellectually honest. Nobody's fucking intellectually honest. They have some bias towards fucking God knows what. But it's the same thing. We all have it within us. Is like sometimes we don't do the right thing when we should.
Yeah.
You know who I like a lot? Andrew Harms.
Very funny.
Yeah. He's
His
funny.
job is even funnier. What do
does
you
he
think
do?
he does as a job? Just let's take a couple
man, I
guesses.
would
He
think
draws blood.
Is that what he does?
He's a mortician.
No, phlebotomist.
Oh.
No, he draws blood like when you sit down you get your blood work
Yeah.
done.
He's that guy.
Yeah, imagine Andrew Harms. That's a sitcom.
I would think he's
Andrew
nervous.
Harms walking in is like, is this your vein? He's fucking.
He doesn't have any jokes about that.
He made me crack up one night at the Alligator Lounge. Did a joke about women.
Oh yeah.
About like, and he just was like, no, and it fucking bombed, of course, because it's about women, but it
He
killed
goes,
me.
I don't like when women complain for equal rights. And whenever I see them, I'm like,
That's it. That's the joke. Yes, hilarious.
Stop that.
And the way he did it, because I wasn't expecting it. This is why I think he was new, and it was the first month, and I was like, that kid's kind of funny, but I don't know.
He's hilarious.
He's very deadpan, and then he did that fucking joke, and it just killed. I turned to Rob like, that guy's hilarious.
You know my favorite Andrew Holmes joke? He has this joke. He goes, I'm doing Andrew Holmes material. He goes, you ever hear like a baby can, a mother can die giving birth? That happens. That's got to be an awkward drive home with the father. He's like, puts the baby on the car seat. He's like, what was that about?
Because you know why that guy's got like zero resentment or anything in his fucking heart. So you know he can talk about anything, and you know he's just coming at it purely. It's like not Mark Norman. Norm Macdonald. Like Norm, he's got no fucking bitterness, whatever. He's just like anything he's saying is like pure comedy.
That's why I love Norm Macdonald, because this is a guy who made it really young, right? He was on Saturday Night Live, probably the biggest variety show at that time, and it still is.
Of all time.
Of all time. Did a sitcom, did a movie, and now, and that's why when he talks about comedy, it's the pure, he's an expert on it. It's like listening to like fucking, I don't know who's an expert on anything, but you know, it's like listening to Pete Rose talk about hitting. You know, if you can't go by Pete, I would like to think Pete knows the thing about hitting. Fucking Norm Macdonald is amazing, and he's talking about comedy. And when he turns around, he goes like, "Handsome guys, they can't be funny." You know, like I'm like, that's kind of like, you know, that's kind of true,
because it's purity.
You know?
He's coming in just for the sake of the laugh. Like Pete Rose has this compulsion that he just wants to hit the fucking ball.
Yeah.
Right? He just wants to get on base. That's the purest compulsion. Just like the purest compulsion is to make somebody fucking laugh. And other people are going up with all types of different agendas.
Right.
Highlighting their fucking brand or whatever the fuck it is. It's just getting the laugh. That's
impossible. You got into this because you were kind of funny at house parties, and like you just and every now and then you would like offend someone at a house party and they'll throw you out. So that's like you like bombing at an open mic, and like that's how you got into it. Some people they get into it because maybe their parents were like comedians or the show business.
What? That's the least.
I have no idea.
Least likely possibility.
Know.
I named three. You know?
I know why they get into it. It's for validation. They want acceptance. It's like fucking junior high.
I'm doing it for the pussy. I'll be honest with you. Just want that comedy pussy, man.
But they just want to be like a fucking whatever. They just like fucking.
Some people, you know, they go to shake hands with comics. I just go to the gym. You know?
Yeah.
So I get up and do a joke. Even if I piss a girl off, she's like, wow, he's got good biceps.
That's all you do. There's a part of it where people they go up and I don't know. I couldn't understand. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, some people.
It's all science.
It's all about
fiction.
cat food. I don't know.
It's all science fiction. The only thing we can do, Conrad and I talk about this all the time. The only thing we can do is just keep getting better. This one, if and when we get our chance to fucking get off the bench, we'll be better than everybody else.
Exactly.
But here's the thing I've also been thinking about too, and this is true, and that's what I say. Like, the frustration comes when you think about, like, how do I get more opportunities, right? And then there's the fucking, like, it's hack to say, but the Zen way is like, I'm just trying to be really fucking good, right?
That's the only thing you could do.
Did you see Mark Norman's latest
Tonight
Fallon?
Show? Yeah.
Oh my God!
Great.
It was perfect.
Great.
He
Nailed it.
I was in mics with him, and he's like the only guy that I mean, he's several years ahead of me, but we were like, he was about to just be done with mics, and I was just starting, and, and that's how I met him.
Right.
And he's the only guy that I came across that I could honestly say is next level. Like,
He's good.
Well,
he's
also-
next level.
Also, you know what he had was a fucking work ethic.
Yeah.
So here's something you don't see anymore. You see people making every excuse but not to get to an open mic. And that's why bar shows are the new open mics, because people are afraid to come to open mics because you'll be exposed.
Marvel's still doing open.
Yeah. So like when I moved to the city, like he was on Conan and all this shit, and he was still doing open mics to the point where like it was like I thought it was too long. I was like, hey Mark, can you stop doing these so that like he's like, no man, you got to do them, whatever. That was work ethic.
And
That doesn't exist anymore.
He wouldn't even ask to go early.
Right.
But who bar shows are the new open mics?
Yeah,
what?
what about that?
Who's fucking thinking that way? though?
Everybody.
I don't understand.
No, I'm
Tons of
saying
people.
I'm saying that because they're afraid to do open mics because you're around amongst a lot of comics, so they see through all your fakeness.
but it's a necessity to doing comedy. You have to do.
You come
them.
into the open mics, so like, oh, I hate open mics. Well, you'd rather be performing for 5 people that don't want to be there at a bar show?
But this is what I'm saying. The purity or the fucking principles are gone. People don't want to work hard, and they don't want to be fucking funny for funny's sake. They want to be funny for fucking show people in Iowa that I'm a fucking star in Brooklyn.
I told Suba came because she writes for Jim Jeffries, and she comes to New York like once or twice a year. So I saw her the last time she was in town. I said, Suba, these girls don't work hard like you. She goes, what do you mean? I go, how many? I go, they do like 3 open mics a week. She was like, no. I go, yeah. They do. Dude, Suba used to do 26. 26 open mics.
She's like one of the last like hard, like that was work ethic.
She was like my inspiration. Like when Suba and Emma Willman, when I saw how many mics they were doing, I was like, holy shit. And look what happened. Both of them are fucking working.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Like,
and they're good. You don't see through the cracks. You're not like, oh, I see how you're tricking us with your stupid
And
fucking
also,
cadence.
they were nice to other comics. You know?
What's he doing? I'm sorry.
Mateo's in the bathroom blowing his
That's
fucking nose.
unusual. You know, like Emma Willman was so nice to me.
And the strange thing is, to work hard in comedy is not difficult work. It's just going to do. You know, you average. Personally, I don't average that many sets a week. I would do 12, maybe. You know, like 11.
That's great.
You know, like it's 10
to
there.
15, I try to
you
get.
know, like I mean, but like that's enough. You know, look, some of my closest friends in comedy, they don't do a lot. You know, and like it's. From what Conrad was saying before, it's like, if you're not on stage and you're not working hard, it's probably because you're not.
Well, I have to get up because I write on stage. So and sometimes I'm in the room and I riff off somebody else's set, and that's how I get a new joke. Because I can't write in a coffee shop. I can't write when I'm walking down the street.
It is a little, because that's funny. Because
I feel like the public aspect of writing in public is very fake. I do all my best writing locked in the bathroom. I do it on purpose. It's 4 to 3 hours.
No, when your dad locks you in the bathroom. He's writing on fucking
We just
toilet
heard you
paper.
blowing your nose from the bathroom.
You know, I think what happened is I think Mateo listened to the last podcast and he's adjusted his personality. He's only saying stuff that he really thinks is going to work. This is like edited Mateo. He's editing in his head.
this is, go on.
This is
I didn't
polished
think it was that
Mateo.
transparent.
He's wearing an epilepsy chain. I've never seen one
You
of
know,
those before.
he is very popular. Like somebody said,
People
who's
love
this
him.
guy Mateo? He sounds like he's 75 years old.
That's great. I love when you see people like because when you show up, I mean that's a part of work ethic is showing up, and then at first because everyone judges you, they're like, hey, who the fuck is this
They used
guy?
to judge Mateo. Like the evolution of Mateo at the Creek and the Cave is hilarious because when he first started coming around, everybody's saying, "Who's this guy?" You know. And the first time one of the first times I ever saw him, he goes, "I brought donuts," and he went to Dunkin' Donuts. He brought like a whole box of donuts. I didn't have any because that's not the kind of stuff I choose to put in my
It was
body.
Brendan Sager's birthday.
Okay, well I thought that was nice that he brought donuts for everybody.
It was nice that you brought donuts for Brandon Sager.
He's a sweet man. I always
But I
say
guess
that.
it is tough for like everybody. It takes a long time to grow on other people, right?
course.
Like very few times does somebody show up and you're like, that's the guy. Like we were talking about on the way over here, like maybe Michael Che's like, him, that's the guy. Like that's who everybody wants to be around. But
Mateo laughs as soon as somebody says something ethnic. Somebody be like, so then the Jew, he's like,
and also when you're doing comedy, you're on stage, and part of a comedian is that you're obnoxious. And if you're bad when you first start, because everyone's bad when they first start, you're overly obnoxious. You're just that's your gimmick. I was not saying you're obnoxious.
I know we all know I'm obnoxious. All of us in this room are. I'm saying I used to.
Not John Zombie.
I don't know. I don't know. I was bad when I first started, but I was also terrified of the room. I used to wear a trench coat.
Well, you used the word trench coat?
Now he wears a tracksuit.
Yeah.
You used to wear a trench coat.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but one of the great things is like when people start coming around, you start coming around to them. Yeah. That's a good thing because at first you're like, hey, who the fuck is it? Because we all judge fucking like Jesus told us not to do, but we do it anyway. Judge not, but we do. And then it's like, oh, I was fucking wrong about them, or you find more things about them that you like, and that's great.
Yeah.
Rather than being fucking funny. Because if you're yourself, this is going back to audiences and comedy and how people like you. If you're going to be yourself, most people are not going to like you right off the bat. But if they come around to you, it's like, oh, they start to get it. They start to understand. And that's like most of it. As you're honest, most people aren't going to like you out of the gate. But if they start coming around to you, they start respecting other things about you.
Right. I agree with that. We're an hour in. Do you want to record another
Do another
episode?
half hour.
Another half hour?
Let's cut this one.
Okay. All right. Zombie, before you do that, your appendix. You're okay?
I'm doing fan-fucking-tastic.
Farmers Insurance knows that there's a not-so-subtle difference between the sound of a car hitting your rear bumper and the sound of a clown car hitting your rear bumper.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Sorry about that. Here's a balloon animal. Add my information.
We call that a three-ring fender bender, and we covered it. At Farmers,
They know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
click for more.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
I earned a bachelor's degree in hospitality management. I managed a restaurant for a while and enjoyed helping others, but I wanted a different way to serve. Then I discovered the Felician Way and enrolled in Felician University's Accelerated Nursing Program. Felician ABSN is offered in two formats, a 16-month hybrid program and a 19-month on-ground program. Plus, Felician University provides a values-based education, which is important to me. Discover the Felician Way. To learn more, search Felician ABSN.